All right, so good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you. No, so we'll discuss today the principles of our cost accounting. No, so ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng cost accounting? And we will discuss more about the principles and the conceptual framework of it. No, all right. So today, what I will discuss is number one, explain the uses of cost accounting data. Why do we need to have cost accounting? Number two, also describe the ethical responsibilities. So very important also is the ethical values, no? When you say about cost accounting. And number three, what is the relationship, no, of cost accounting, financial accounting, and managerial accounting? Nasaan ba ang cost accounting? Okay? And number four, no, when you say about cost accounting, there are three basic elements of it, no? The three basic elements of the manufacturing cost. And number five, illustrate also the basic accounting procedures. And number six, distinguish between the two types of cost accounting system, and that would be your job order costing and also your process costing. Okay, but in my other video, no, my focus is about job order and process costing. Okay, my question, no, why do we need to have cost accounting? Ba't kailangan pa natin magkaroon ng cost accounting, no? So based on the PowerPoint, no? So very important here is that cost accounting, it provides detailed cost data, no, that the management needs to control current operations and plan for the future. The keyword here is that you have your cost data, no? And the keyword also here is that it is basically to control, no? Yan yung ating ginagawa, no, in terms of the management accounting or cost accounting for controlling. That's why in number two, PowerPoint, the companies must control cost in order to keep the prices competitive. So, ibig sabihin class, we need to be competitive in terms of our prices. But in reality, please take note, in today's global environment, the cost information is very crucial, no, than ever in terms of your decision making. Okay? Particularly in setting up our costs. All right. So, what would be the types of businesses that uses cost accounting, no? Kahit kayo class ay manufacturers man, kayo ay merchandisers, kayo ay wholesalers, for-profit service businesses or not-for-profit, importante ang ating cost accounting. That's why if you are manufacturers, merchandisers, like Ford, Walmart, no, in the US, if you are a CPA or public accountant, you are also PCSO, the Red Cross, no, very important is your cost accounting. Also, very important is the manufacturing process. Okay? So, very important is the manufacturing process, no? Particularly your cost accounting. Why? Because in the manufacturing process, your direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead are all to be converted into the finished product. Again, your direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead, lahat yan ay magiging finished product. Okay? But of course, in the manufacturing process, in the cost accounting, very important is what you call total quality management or what you call the TQM. Why? Because last, the product quality is an important competitive weapon in the manufacturing. Again, product quality is an important competitive weapon in the manufacturing. Quality should be more than our cost. That's why some of them, no, require suppliers to be ISO 9000 certified. Okay? So, what is the ISO 9000 certified? No? So, the International Organization for Standardization or the ISO created, no, the set 5 or international standards for quality. Meaning to say class, in the ISO 9004, it requires manufacturers to have established defined quality control system and they consistently maintain a high degree or high level of quality. In other words, class, we need also to know or to identify or to be able to part of our manufacturing process is what you call quality or the total quality management to consider, no, to consider your total quality management. Okay, so meaning to say In determining the product cost and the pricing, very important here is that cost accounting is used to determine product cost and will also help in terms of decision making. That's why in cost accounting, number one, kaya tayo may cost accounting because we want also to know the selling price of the product. No? We should know the selling price of the product. And number two, in terms of our competitor, we need also to be competitive cost, no? Meeting competitions. And number three, very important is about bidding the contracts. And number four, that's the most important of all, no? Is that cost accounting, you will analyze profit, no? Analyzing the profitability. Okay? So we go back to our definition of planning and controlling. Ito ay importante din, no? Particularly about the planning and controlling. Pag sinabi class planning, ano lang naman yan eh, you set your objective, you set your goals, no? In determining that it is part of your parang plan, no? So, meaning to say, you define objectives, the number one, clearly define the objectives as part of the manufacturing operations, and number two, you have your production plan, no? That will assist you in achieving your plan and enriching your objectives. Yan yung pinaka-importante. Okay? And also class, very important here is about controlling. Ito yung trabaho natin as accountant. It is our job, no, to check whether the objectives or the goals are being achieved or being accomplished. Baka lang tayo ay more on plano, no? Okay, puro lang tayo plano but there's no implementation. How do we do that? Number one, to be effective control is basically to assign who is responsible. And that would be your responsibility accounting. Okay? And number two, very important here is that it is periodically measure and compare the results. And if any, if there would be corrective actions, no, so we need to check also specifically in terms of our feedback. That's why class, no, as part also of the responsibility accounting, very important is to know who is accountable for that. Is the assignment of the accountability for cost of the production results to those individuals who have the most authority to influence them. Sabi nila class, you are only responsible and you are accountable for that cost if you have the power to incur that cost. You are responsible and accountable if you have the authority to make decisions. Again, you are responsible for that decision making if number one, if you have the power to incur that cost or to earn revenue, and number two, you have the authority to make decisions. That's the most important, no, in terms of responsibility center. That's why cost center here is also very important, no, since our subject is all about cost accounting. Meaning to say, in a cost center is a unit of activity within which the factory to which costs may be practically and equitably assigned. That's why the manager of the cost center is responsible for those costs that the managers control. That's why class, also very important in terms of reporting is about reports. No? Ano yung mga reports natin? Number one, yung ating cost and production reports. Okay, it is the cost center reflects all costs and production data identified in the center. You have also here yung tinatawag nating performance report, no? So ano naman yung ibig sabihin ng performance report, no? That would be it will include no only those costs that the productions that the center's managers can control. That's why class very important here yung tinatawag nating favorable and unfavorable, no? Between the actual cost and the budgeted cost. Now, in my previous video, I've discussed about the variance. Now, please look for the standard costing, no, between the actual cost and also the budgeted costs. Paano yan, sir? No, for example, uh, what if you have a restaurant, no, particularly of Rinaldi's restaurant, okay? So, for example, you have kitchen wages, no, budgeted is 5.5 and your actual September is 5.2. So, meaning to say you have 300 favorable. In terms of year to date naman, you have 47,000 and also you have 36,000 46,100. So, meaning to say class, you have 900 favorable. Class, please take note you need also to know why it is favorable or why it is unfavorable, no? How about food naman, ganun din, no? So 17.7 versus 18.3, so you have 600 unfavorable. Same also in the year to date, 1553 and 157 600, you have 2,300 unfavorable. Ano yung point ko dito, class? You need to check why it is favorable, why is it unfavorable. Yan yung pinaka-goal natin, no? Maybe because of in the kitchen wages, the reason why it is favorable, maybe because someone left the company. In terms of the food, why unfavorable or unfavorable, maybe the cost of ingredients increase in terms of the amount. Supplies naman, you have unfavorable maybe because of you have a lot of coupon bond or bond paper use, no, in the system. Utilities naman ganun din, no? So favorable and unfavorable. My point here is that in terms of the management, you need to um, siguro kailangan mo i-explain. You need to explain it to your management why there would be favorable and unfavorable. That's why, class, very important is what you call management accounting. Management accounting as part also of your cost accounting is that you need to have decision making. That's the most important, no, in terms of the management accounting. It is internal report wherein very important here to decide decision making. That's why, class, in your cost accounting, no? So before that, what is the difference between financial accounting and also management accounting, no? In FinAC, very important here is that it is for external parties, all right? It is for the entire business, and you have it is under GAAP, no? And you have the product cost, no, for calculating the cost of goods sold. In terms naman of management accounting, it is for managers, and it is also based on the segment. And the most important here is you have your budgeting, make or buy the product, replace the facility, or any other, no. And also very important here is that when you say about management accounting, it is for decision making. Okay. So meaning to say, cost accounting ay nasa both management accounting and also FinAC, no? Meaning to say, in terms of the management accounting, it includes those parts, no? Particularly for financial and also the management accounting. That's why, class, pag sinabi class management accounting, it is for decision making, intended for internal managers. Our focus is more on internal, future oriented. And the criteria of it does not follow your GAAP. While in FINAC, no, it communicate to the outsiders, no, the primary users, that external users, and focus here is about past oriented and must follow the accounting standards. That's why, no, if you have this one, no, as in terms of the managerial and financial accounting, nasaan yung ating cost accounting? Yan ay nasa gitna. Okay? Please take note, ha. Nasaan yung ating ano? Nasa gitna. Okay? So, meaning to say, class, in terms of your cost accounting, no, kailangan siya in the FinAC, kailangan din siya in terms of the MANAC. That's why you have your cost accounting, no? So, yan, class, ang pinaka-importante sa lahat, no? Particularly, no, the meaning of our cost accounting. Okay. So, in terms naman of your cost of goods sold, no, in terms of your cost accounting, pag sinabi class merchandiser, so the entry here is that you have your inventory beginning, plus you have your purchase, then you have your um, uh, total goods available for sale, then you will minus your ending inventory and makukuha na natin yung ating cost of goods sold, no? Pero class, magkaiba yan in terms of the manufacturer. Yes, parang konti lang siya pero mahaba din yan, ha. You have your beginning inventory, then you add your cost of goods purchased, cost of goods manufactured, then we have your beginning, okay? Beginning inventory plus cost of goods manufactured, then you have your total goods available for sale, and you will minus naman yung ating ending inventory to get your cost of goods sold. Mamaya class, no, we'll discuss about how to compute for our cost of goods sold, no? Kasi class, cost of goods manufactured. Kasi mahaba yan, no? Ang goal natin is that yung ating total manufacturing cost ay maging finished product. Sige. So, meaning to say, no, in your cost accounting, especially in your manufacturing process, no, there would be inventories. Okay? So, ano yung mga inventories natin, no? Most manufacturing center maintains the perpetual inventory system that uses your, ano yung FIFO? FIFO here is what you call your first in, first out. You have also here yung tinatawag natin LIFO. What is LIFO? LIFO here is that last in, first out. And in the Philippines, also in sa ating sa ating IFRS, no, or the PFRS, yan ay hindi permitted, no? But in the US, yan ay permitted, no? Why? Because of the tax purposes now, no? So an inventory ledger is maintained to provide support for the control account. And some manufacturers may use the factory ledger. That's why class, no, in terms of your inventories, pag tayo ay part of the balance sheet, in the merchandiser, you have only one inventory account, which is your merchandise inventory. In terms naman of manufacturer, tatlo, no? Finished goods, your work in process, and also your materials, no? And they are used or they are to be recorded based on liquidity. Ano nga liquidity? Yung una mong maibibenta. So, ano yung una mong mabibenta? Finished goods, followed by the work in process and the work in the materials. That's why class, no? In terms of the element of your manufacturing cost as discussed kanina, there are three kinds, no? You have your direct materials, your direct labor, and your manufacturing overhead. Class, ano pagkakaiba nila, no? The materials here are materials that become part of the finished good and can be readily be identified. You have also here yung direct labor naman, labor of employees who work directly on the products manufactured. And we have also here our factory overhead. So it includes the indirect materials and indirect labor, no? Later class. Ano yung direct materials? Yung mga gamit natin directly part of the finished product. If you're manufacturing the table, yung ating wood, yung ating metal here, they're all part of direct materials. How about yung pako? Yung nails, bolts, and nuts, they're all part of indirect materials. Part siya ng factory overhead. Why? Dalawa lang daw class, no, in the factory overhead. Why it is part of indirect materials? Number one, because of their association with the product is insignificant. Di ba class, sa dito, no, ilan lang yung pako, konti ilang yan, no? What else? And number two, their association with the, their cost of their product, no, is insignificant or immaterial. 'Di ba magkano ba yung pako or tornilyo? Konti lang nga 'yan, 'di ba? Yan ay inaano pa kinikilo. Okay? That's why they are all part of indirect materials. Again, why indirect materials? Because number one, their association with the product is insignificant and their cost is immaterial. Yan ang reason kung bakit. Okay? How about naman your direct labor? Ano naman yung direct labor? Direct labor naman, sila yung mga gumagawa ng ating materials, no? So, yung ating mga factory worker, sila yung ating direct labor. Okay. Pero class yung taga-sermon, joke lang. Hindi naman taga-sermon, taga-motivate. Okay? Yung ating mga supervisor, your plant manager, sila ay considered as indirect labor. Meaning to say, they are part of our factory overhead. That's why class, ang factory overhead pala ay indirect materials, indirect labor, and the manufacturing overhead. And the other manufacturing overhead. Yes. So, yan ang ibig sabihin class ng ating direct materials or direct labor and also your factory overhead. Ano yung goal natin? All of this manufacturing costs will be converted into the finished product. That's why class, we have here what you call prime cost and conversion cost class. Ano yung prime cost? Ang prime cost class ay direct materials and direct labor. No? Meaning to say class, ang pinaka-prime na costing talaga ay yung ating direct materials, and direct labor. And then also your direct labor and overhead, tinatawag tong conversion cost. Okay? Tinatawag tong conversion cost. Why? Because your materials are to be converted into the finished product. So, meaning to say class, direct materials plus direct labor and overhead are total manufacturing cost. Yes. Okay? How about naman prime cost plus conversion cost? Yan ba ay manufacturing cost? The answer is no. It should be prime cost plus factory overhead, and you have your manufacturing cost, or direct materials or direct materials plus conversion cost. Yan yung ating manufacturing cost. Again, direct materials plus conversion cost is your manufacturing cost, and prime cost plus factory overhead is your manufacturing cost. Hindi ang prime cost plus conversion, ha. Mali yan, ha. Okay. So, meaning to say, what is the flow in terms of your manufacturing process? Diba? Ito yung flow natin. The direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead are all to be converted into the finished product. Kaya lang may mga time hindi pa tapos. That's why you have here your work in process. Then maililipat mo siya sa finished product, and eventually will become part of our cost of goods sold. Ito lang naman yung pinaka-goal natin, no? In terms of the flow of the manufacturing cost. So class, babalik tayo ulit sa job order costing system, sa ating process costing system. This is the cost accounting system. So go to my other video. No, I've explained this one also, the meaning, no, of our job order and also the process costing system. Ano pagkakaiba ng job order? Ano pagkakaiba naman ng process costing? So ano ba yung ating job order? The output of it consists of special or made to order products, no? And also it provide also separate record for the cost, no? Ano naman yung tinatawag nating process costing? It accumulates cost for each department or the process in terms of the factory. So go to my video, no? So go to my video. I explained also about the meaning of job order and also the process costing system. Okay. All right. So ito class yung ating job order costing system. Alright, so ito yung ating job order. Again, ang goal natin is that your direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead are all to be converted into the finished product. Kaya lang, may mga time hindi pa yan tapos, kaya part siya ng ating work in process. No? Ano yung dokumento na gagamitin natin? No? It is known as job cost sheet. So, ang ating gagamitin ay yung ating job cost sheet. No? So, ano naman yung job cost sheet na sinasabi dyan? No? The job cost sheet is that you record your actual direct materials, your actual direct labor, and also your applied manufacturing overhead. Okay. Ma'am, go to my video about the job order costing system. I've discussed about the job cost sheet. Anyway, so ano naman yung mga inventories natin, no, sa ating manufacturing, no? You have your raw materials as discussed kanina. Alright? Ito yung ating mga materials, no, na part ng or awaiting for the inventory, no? It reflects the cost of the raw materials and the factory supplies that will be used in the manufacturing process. Okay? You have also here yung tinatawag din natin work in process, the partially completed product. Okay? Reflects the cost of the raw materials, direct labor, and the manufacturing overhead of a goods on which manufacturing has begun and has not been completed or at the end of the fiscal period. And the finished goods naman, yan yung mga materials natin na tapos na. Reflects that the cost of goods that have been completed and are ready for sale. Yan ang ibig sabihin class ng ating cost accounting in the job order costing system. How about in terms of the process costing system? Ano naman yung ating process costing system? So you have your work in process 1, work in process number 2. No? Meaning to say, you have your direct materials, your direct labor, and overhead, and you have your factory overhead. Meaning to say, class, you have 2 or more work in process. If you have 2 or more work in process, yan yung ating tinatawag na process costing system. You have 2 or more work in process. And eventually, work in process department 1, work in process department B, Pag natapos na yan sa work in branch department 2, yan na yung magiging finished product. Again, please go to my video about uh, product costing or process costing. Okay? Also, class, very important also in your cost accounting, yung tinatawag nating standard costing or standard cost system. So, meaning to say, the standard cost systems that it is maybe used either in the job order or also in the process costing system. No, it also uses the predetermined standard cost to furnish or help managers to make decisions regarding the efficiency of our operations. So, ano naman klaseng ibig sabihin nito? No? It is standard cost. It should be costs. No? They are the costs that would not be incurred or that would be incurred under efficient operating conditions that are forecast before the manufacturing begins. Meron to sa class, it is should be cost. Ito dapat yung cost natin. Okay? Okay. Also, very important, no, ulit-ulit lang to class, no, particularly about the ethical standards for the management accountants. Ano yung mga apat, no? You have your competence, meaning to say, you are here, no, for, of course, you will pass the CPA board exam. You should be competent. And in terms of the competent, you will also consider your limitations. Hindi pwedeng walang limitations, okay? Hindi ka pa pwedeng magpirma if you are kakapasa mo pa lang, no? In terms naman of confidentiality, dapat wag daw maging marites, no? Meaning to say, you should not disclose any information. Integrity and credibility or objectivity, you should be impartial. Okay? Impartial in terms of the things that you will be able to achieve, particularly yung act. Act is the integrity, while credibility is about disclosing information about communication. In other words, very important here is to be competent, refrain from disclosing information, confidentiality, integrity, impartial, and honest, credibility. You should not disclose any information or communicate any information that is impartial, that is bias, no? Dapat wala tayong bias. Okay? So I believe this is my last slide for the principles of cost accounting. So again, thank you very much and see you all. Bye bye.